Hey, how's it going, guys? Jack and Matt here with the Toaster Bros, and chances are a couple days ago you saw a build that we did with the new AMD Ryzen processor and new AMD graphics card. Well, guess what? We're doing it all over again.
Today we're going to be checking out the 5600X and the RX 6800. So basically the lower end versions of the one you saw already, but this one is only $1,500, and for the money you can't really beat the performance. But before we get into this PC build, let's hear a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Teamgroup.
So one of our favorite SSDs from them is the EX2 SSD. They come in up to 2 terabyte storage capacity. They have advanced SLC caching technology and blazing speed and trim optimized performance.
If you're looking for some awesome RAM, then check out their Extreme ARGB RAM. This memory is the industry-leading ARGB memory with a mirror design. It comes up to speeds of 4,000 megahertz and capacities up to 32 gigabytes with an aluminum heatsink and high performance.
And also, Teamgroup is cool enough to be hosting a Black Friday giveaway, so use the link in the description down below to go enter that and check it out.
Thanks again to Teamgroup for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get into the video, shall we?
So we're really excited about this because the 5600X is the one that AMD has really been hammering on and talking about, because they say that it is one of the best gaming processors that you can possibly get, and coming in at around 300 bucks, it's kind of a no-brainer if you can get your hands on them.
Now, of course, inventory is going to be the biggest issue with this PC build, but hopefully this PC build serves as a good template for you when things start to settle down coming into the new year. We'll probably have some future builds with these processors again, but just a general idea, just to show you what kind of performance you can look forward to when inventory settles down, or if you manage to snag it, it's a really good build. How about we go ahead and talk about each individual part and how it makes up this PC build.
So for the processor, just like we said in the beginning, this is the Ryzen 5 5600X, the most up-to-date Ryzen platform. It's a 6-core 12-thread, so it's similar to a 3600 or 3600X, but what makes it a lot different is the cache and just the overall speed. This thing is supposed to deliver a major performance increase, still on 6-core 12 threads, still a very low TDP wattage and everything. It does come with a cooler, which I expect to look about the same as the previous generation, but we do have a special cooler to put onto it. This is the ID Cooling SE234 ARGB. It's just a pretty basic, but also nice looking ARGB cooler. It has a 120mm fan with an RGB top that's likely button controlled, or I'm sure it can also be ARGB controlled by the motherboard as well, but this will be plenty to cool this, and you could get away with just using the stock coolers. Stock coolers are really good. They're made by Cooler Master and they work great as well. So for the motherboard, we have the MSI MPG X570 Gaming Plus. This is a really good motherboard because it's X570, which means it has 4 RAM slots, it has Gen 4 support, plenty of expansion, and also 160 bucks. It's one of the cheapest X570s you can get, so happy to use it. Now for storage, we have a Gen 4 Viper VP4100 M.2 SSD, and it is Gen 4. So 1 terabyte worth of storage. Now, you could just get a regular NVMe SSD, which is also very fast, and those come in at around 100 bucks. So this is, as of right now, around $200, which is a lot more for marginal speed differences, because most of the time you're not going to really be able to utilize these insane speeds with reading and writing. So, you know, we recommend, if you want to save some money, then go with the regular NVMe one.
As for RAM, we have another Teamgroup special. This is the T-Force Dark Z Alpha memory, which is 32 gigabytes at 3600 megahertz. This stuff is great for AMD. The XMP profiles work really well out of the box, and 3600 megahertz speed will be awesome for this new Ryzen CPU. Of course, if you do want to go with 4 DIMMs or the whole 2-channel versus quad channel, whatever conversation that people are having right now for these new Ryzen CPUs, you could look into that. But in terms of the performance for the average user, just going this route and getting high-speed memory is going to be perfectly fine for you. Now for the GPU, I'm not going to do the fancy unboxing like I did before, but this is the RX 6800 straight from AMD. This thing is going to be awesome for 1440p gaming and even some 4K gaming if you want to. It comes in at over $500, so yes, it is an expensive graphics card, but for anyone who just wants to get up and game and get the best possible performance and have all the awesome new features that AMD has to offer, this is a great option and slightly cheaper than the 6800 XT that is out there on the market. Now, for the case for this PC build, we have the Abcon Core 500G, the Helios 500G. This has 2 RGB fans in the front, big RGB fans, and 1 in the back. Now, do keep in mind, this case was sent over a while ago, but it actually isn't out yet, and we're not sure when it's going to be out, and it does come in at an MSRP of $100, so for that price range, there's a lot of different cases you can go with, and we will leave updated links in the description down below to alternate any suggestions. Hopefully this case comes out at some point, but right now it is not on the market, but we're still going to showcase it and see what it can do. And to power this build, which we did not do the power supply, we're just all out of sorts here. We have this Corsair CX550F RGB power supply, a fully modular power supply with an RGB fan, 550 watts. It is more of a budget-friendly power supply, but getting fully modular customization to make a really nice and clean looking build, and 550 watts, based on our calculations, should be more than enough for this PC build. When we were testing our other PC, we were pulling a max draw during gaming of around 400 to 450 watts, and this is a lesser power system than the other one, so we should have plenty of room. But again, if you want to opt for a higher end power supply, links down below will give you some other alternatives. But overall, I'm very happy with the selections that we went with. Let's put this thing together.
right, ladies and gentlemen, now that we have this RX 6800 gaming PC all put together, let's talk about some benchmarks real quick. Now, we decided to test this PC in a couple of titles, those being Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Rainbow Six Siege, and Doom Eternal. First up with Call of Duty Warzone at 1080p high settings, we got over 180 FPS most of the time. Now, we did test all our games at 1080p with the RX 6800, but of course, just like the 6800 XT, this card is capable of way more than 1440p and probably more likely 4K gaming. So at 1080p, we're probably looking at trying to hit the 1080p 240Hz crowd or 1080p 360Hz crowd, and really this PC gets very close at doing that, and really most of that performance does come from this powerful Ryzen 5 5600X CPU, which we'll talk more about later in the benchmarks. But Warzone is a great example of a game that this will have no problems playing on medium-high settings at well over 100, 200, 300 plus FPS if you want to, making this a really awesome gaming PC for $1,500. If you guys are interested in seeing us add Call of Duty Cold War to our benchmarking rotation, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd be happy to consider it. Next up, we decided to test Fortnite at 1080p Pro settings, which is epic view distance and everything else on low. We got 400 plus FPS, which is very similar to the results we got with our 6800 XT gaming PC. So these new Ryzen 5000 series CPUs are really good in IPC performance, and that's something we already knew, but seeing it in actual performance in games like Fortnite, getting really good results, able to play on 360Hz monitors without any issues whatsoever, really shows that this is an awesome gaming PC for esports titles and professional gaming. The next game we decided to test was Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and we ended up with an average of 166 FPS on high settings at 1080p. This just goes to show you that this PC is more than capable of playing pretty much any AAA title you throw at it at high settings, 1080p, 1440p high settings, and even 4K if you want to. And Shadow of the Tomb Raider, while being an older game, is still very demanding on most hardware. The next game we decided to test was another esports title, and that is Rainbow Six Siege, and with the built-in benchmark on high settings, we got over 400 FPS, which is absolutely awesome. When we're playing games at 1080p, we are more reliant on the CPU, so when you do stretch into 1440p and 4K, you might start to see the 6800 start to bottleneck a little bit, but it does go to show you that this could make a really good 360Hz gaming PC. And with the availability of those kind of monitors becoming more and more, it could be something that you see very often in some of our PC setups coming to the channel very soon, so definitely stay tuned for that. And the last game we decided to test was Doom Eternal using the Vulkan API on Ultra Nightmare, and we got 300 plus FPS. The Vulkan API does wonders with AMD graphics cards, and this is definitely no exception. I was very impressed with the performance of this configuration. The 6800 and the 5600X is going to be one of my favorite quote-unquote budget setups that you can go with for quite some time, and I really do believe the Ryzen 5 5600X is probably the best value gaming CPU on the market. If you are just gaming, there really is no reason to go with anything else. You might get a little bit more performance in things like content creation with something like the 5800X or the 5700X, but if you're just purely gaming, these 6 cores and 12 threads are really powerful, will allow you to play pretty much anything you want without any bottlenecking, and it really makes for a very impressive gaming configuration. So overall, very impressed with this PC build for the money. How about we go ahead and bring Jackson back in here to wrap this video up real quick.
Alright guys, so as you could tell, this PC for the money, being over a little $1,500, is just an amazing price. It's once again, for the price compared to performance, one of the best ones we built, which is kind of to be expected. Well, it's all new parts, so it should perform better than the previous generation. We did save a little bit of money by going with the regular 6800 over the 6800 XT, which we really noticed you don't see a huge difference in FPS numbers between.
So overall, this is a very well-balanced build. That Ryzen 5 5600X is the best value gaming processor again. Even though AMD did price hike these a little bit higher than what the 3600 goes for, it delivers on basically a ton more performance compared to the 3600. So pairing it with any top of the line GPU shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. And for most people who are just gaming, it's the best choice.
So big thanks to AMD for sending this graphics card and processor over. Links in the description down below. There are affiliate links and they do help us out. Don't forget to check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/toastubers right there. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
We'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. All Team Red. Look at that thread. It's beautiful.